All right, so we had earnings. We're in the middle of earnings season right now, and there was a handful of companies that released this week I wanted to talk. The first one being Universal Display. They actually beat earnings, and they were up on the news. So again, they posted revenue 169 million, 146 was the last year. As far as earnings per share, $1.36, and the estimate was a dollar not sorry 93 cents. So they beat it by a lot. Um, as far as the price goes, this is a company that's up massively on the year. They're up 18%. S&P is only up about 4. It was actually down quite a bit this last week. So um, the first thing I would mention here with this company is that I believe it's expensive where it's at. I mean, it's got a price to free cash flow of over 40 right now. So I would wait until we see a pretty good pullback before, again, in my opinion, everything my opinion, before I would take a position in here. I mean, if you wanted to dollar cost average, I guess technically you could start now, but it is expensive right now. This is a company that it got down to 89 briefly. If you could get it below 100, in my opinion, I think it'd be a really good buy. But if you have, I mean, this company we're in the midst of a slowdown right now, and they easily beat earnings. So I think that whenever we get another bull run, this company's going to do really good, and they're growing their dividend very, 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 very fast. I think something like 20 or 30% is their compounded annual growth rate over the last 5 years, and I think they're probably going to keep that up going forward. And again, for people who don't know, they're a company that makes all the screens, right? They have a lot of the technology in them, and the way I look at it is, does anyone really think that the demand for TVs and computers and tablets and phones, like, is that going to go down anytime soon? Like, yeah, it's going to be cyclical, but does anyone really think there's going to be less in 10 years than there is now? Like, I would be absolutely shocked if that were the case. So again, that's why I'm bullish on this company. Again, it's growing its dividend very nice, but like I said, I think it is expensive where it's at right now. So I would be a little bit skeptical about getting in right now. It's looking like, again, everyone's been talking about this big recession we're supposed to see for 6 months to a year now. We haven't really seen it at this point, but I do think the S&P pulled back pretty good. The Nasdaq pulled back even more. This company didn't because it beat earnings. I would wait for a pullback to get into it. And it's only a matter of time until that happens. But again, does it run up another 5-10% before that happens? That's the question here, because I could see that happening. But I think it depends on what happens with the overall market. But again, over the long run, I just really like this company. Not perfect by any means, but very good in my opinion. Next one, Diamondback Energy. They also beat earnings. I don't actually have a position in this company right now, but I would like to at some point. Um, Again, oil and gas company. Honestly, there's a lot of good oil and gas companies. Let's see what they did. 651 a share. Let's see. Sorry, 529 a share. Estimate was 520. Last year was 363, so they're up a lot, right? And that's good. That's surprising. I mean, I guess the whole Russia stuff didn't start till about a year ago, but again, I like that, right? I like that. They don't have a big dividend, so they do have room to grow that dividend. Um, Good company in my opinion. I mean, if we look at this is OLED, how they're priced right now. Again, their price to free cash flow right now is 46, which is below their 5-year average by a decent amount. But price to sales of 10.3, you have to wait until that comes down a little bit, in my opinion. If we check out Diamondback Energy, so again, current dividend only 2.1%, but they are growing that. They are growing that a little bit. Let's see their valuation. Valuation is actually very good. So honestly, by the looks of their valuation, you could get into it at current prices. I wouldn't be completely against that. Next one, Mosaic. They also beat, which is let's see, they're $1.52 fourth quarter of 2022, $1.76 from last year. So again, they did beat as well, which is again also surprising. This is a company that is cyclical for obvious reasons, but again, on the earth, we have a growing population. And a growing population means more demand for food. How do we get more food? We have to increase crop yields and we have to plant more food. And how do we do both of those things? Well, that is good news for companies that produce fertilizer, right? There's a lot of good fertilizer companies. You have CF Industries, you have Nutrien also, you have Nucor, are all somewhat related. Honestly, I don't have a preference between all of them. I think they're all decent companies. Mosaic's one of the ones. I do have a very small position in it. I do watch it. If you see a pullback in a company like this, I think it'd be a good pickup. The last one, another company I don't have a position in because I'm waiting for a bit of a correction. VICI Properties or VC Properties. Again, they hold like a lot of like casinos and stuff like that in Vegas. I think they own one of the big hotels there as well. So again, that's the kind of properties that it holds. So these are properties that aren't going to get hurt in a recession, right? Because when there's a recession, people don't spend as much money on that stuff. So if we get a correction, this is a company that I would like to buy. Again, they do have a nice dividend. I think it's about 4.5% right now. They are growing it fairly nicely, especially for a REIT. They beat earnings. 50 cents a share was the expected. They beat it. They got 51, 44 cents a year ago. So they are growing nicely there. They are growing their FFO as well. If we check them out, let's check them out. So again, forward dividend 4.7%, 4-year average is 4.8. FFO payout ratio is high, but again, it is a REIT. They are growing their funds from operation very, very nicely. They are very profitable as well. Price to FFO is 19.9. 4-year average is 18.5. So again, I would look for a pullback in this company before I would get in. If you could get it below 30, I think that would be a very good deal in my opinion. But even if it came down to like 31, you probably would be able to dip your toes in. So again, let's just check the dividend actually, just to leave it off here. Again, so dividend, they've only actually they started paying a dividend 2018, right at the start of 2018. So a little over 4 years. Dividend, the compounded annual growth is 8% essentially, which is good for a REIT, right? I mean, you look at like a Realty Income, that's like 4 or 5%. A lot of those bigger ones, it's not this good, right? So I think that's a solid yield. Again, 4.7%. That's a solid yield as well. The FFO yield is actually only a hair over 5%. So again, if they are close to that, but again, like I said, it is a REIT, meaning they have to pay out the overwhelming majority of it as a form of a dividend, right? So, like I said, I would look to pick this company up if we get a recession, because a company like this is probably going to get hit pretty hard. And then if we get into a good economic times, this is a company that's going to do very, very well. And you get a solid dividend on top of that. And another good thing about this company is that they've seen pretty good price accumulation, right? I mean, if we compare it to the SPY, the S&P, they have actually outperformed it, right? And that's not even including the dividend, right? So this is a company that's easily outperformed the S&P ever since it came out. But if you look at the crash during March of 2020, it crashed quite a bit harder, right? So if we get a recession, this is a company that's going to get hit hard, and that's when I would look to pick it up. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.